อืม Welcome everybody to the Casper podcast. I'm your gracious, beautiful, blessed, beloved, and black host, the kid they call Casper. The KID in Casper stands for the king in development. I'm that menace with the melanin. Reject me as I am, as long as he is still relevant. Welcome everybody. This is first day of this week's. Just a reminder, I will not be here tomorrow. I'm going to be doing some groundwork, hitting the streets. We're doing I'm doing a stop Asian. Well, I'm supporting a stop Asian hate protest in my state and everything tomorrow, so I will not be here tomorrow, but I got something. I got a nice treat for y'all. If for those that don't know me and this is your first time watching, hello, my name is Kid Casper. I'm a Christian rap activist. I'm a leader of an interfaith coalition in the state of Maryland, trying to make systemic, societal, and economic change within my state outside of Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a taco enthusiast. I own my own clothing apparel called ghostthreads.com. And we're going to get into it today. This is who I have as my guest today. Somebody I've been a fan of for a good bit of time. Somebody that just spits that real, that raw out of a place of vulnerability. Vagabond is still one of my favorite projects. I bumped that on my way to a protest. Something if I just need to get my feelings, I'll put that on in the background real quick. Everybody, I got my brother J.Crum with us in the building today. Turn your mic off, King, so we can say hi to you real quick.
What's going on? What's going on?
What's going on, man? Glad to have you on today, man. It was kind of spontaneous how I just hit you up through Instagram. I was just like, why not? We'll see if he'll bite on it. So right. Man, well, you know what, man? I'm excited to have you on. I've been kind of, following, I would say, like your journey within faith, within music and everything for a good bit. And I'm, in this journey of even me in the podcast world, I've just been trying to like get more familiar with artists that in either ways like inspire me or kind of touch me in a way. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity. Pick your brain a little bit and we might learn from each other. So this is the first time that some of my audience is being introduced to you. So tell us about yourself, man. Tell us what you're about, what's your shtick and everything like that.
Yeah. I'm J.Crum. I am a hip hop artist. I have an artist collective called Streetlight Sounds, which also doubles as a creative agency. And so so with that, we do like graphic design, ads management, consultations, different stuff like that. So, what else do we do? Press releases, stuff like that. But with my music, I just released an album called Vagabond. That's been my fourth like studio album. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of fun with that. Really kind of bared my soul on that. And then I just released a single called Monochrome Melancholy.
I've been bumping that religiously.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. Which it features Ty Lin, who's super dope. But I've been making music for a long time. Just recently was a Rapzilla freshman, which was crazy for the stage of my career to get that. But was picked for Best New Artist, which was also a kind of crazy thing. And then recently was just won Best Hip Hop Artist for the Omaha Entertainment Awards, which was cool because that's the city that I'm from. And so to be recognized, in the city as like, hey, we think you're the best, is really, really cool, especially for like the content I put out. So yeah.
You don't one thing I can honestly say is you don't, I guess, I've noticed that like especially when it comes to like CHH, there's like this weird box they try to put us in, and you kind of came out the gate like, I don't like boxes. I'm gonna talk about what I want to talk about, and y'all gonna have to just deal with it. People that are meant to listen to my music will listen to it, and so I guess I want to do kind of like a breakdown in a sense of like songs. One of my favorite ones that like I said, this one when I first heard it always makes me cry, but What came to mind with? I think it's the song. We'll go off of the fun ones first. We'll go off of Jump. What was Jump about? What came to you when you came up with Jump?
Jump was kind of something. I just want to have fun, and that was
Gotcha.
I want to have fun, but I also just kind of like, kind of just like showing people that like, that I'm here. You know what I mean? That like, I know what I'm here for. I know what I'm called to do, and like, I'm here to do it, and I'm here to, regardless of everything that has come against us and everything that's set up against us, like, I'm still gonna jump. I know I'm betting on myself, and I'm betting on God, and I'm betting on what the plans and the purpose that He's given me. So yeah. And I just really wanted to rap too. Like, I just really wanted to rap.
I got that sense from it. This one's crazy. Rumble. What was it? Rumble for you? What was that for you, man?
Rumble was, so we were just coming off the heels of when I started writing it, George Floyd had just been killed. And I had like, there had been just a lot of like silence, and especially from like, I think what bothered me the most was, one, the silence from the church, and especially like, hold on a sec.
All good.
That was my wife. Hold on, my phone's hooked up to my.
Your Belichick, his Belichick hoodie is off. I promise. He took it off before we got started.
I'm telling her I'm doing an interview. One sec.
All good. Take your time, brother. All right, told you. Man's First Ministries is family. All good. Yeah. All good.
Okay. So, okay. So the silence from like the church, or even like the defense of what happened from the church, was too much to handle. And then the silence from white rappers and white musicians and my white collaborators was another of like you want everything that can benefit you from this culture. You want to take a part of. You want to embrace all of that. But when it comes to like embracing the people and the struggle and having empathy and and allowing that to drive you to action, you just decide not to get involved at all. And so like, I don't think most of and my thing was like, I don't think the majority of the world is racist, but I think the majority of the world is apathetic to racism. And so out of that came, that frustration, and out of that kind of came that line of, you want my culture, but you don't want my fears. So like, you would rather not get involved. And so, yeah, that's where Rumble came from.
That's that's something I'm always saying to people, and I just recently said it. First off, did you know that I guess white people forgot that Wayne Brady was black? I don't know.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw. He's been going crazy on TikTok, which
Yeah, yo.
It must have not seen the Chappelle Show episode. That must have been.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, I was like, yo, he chokes people.
He said, "Is Wayne Brady is going to have to cut him?" I was like, "How'd y'all forget that this nigga been about it? Like, what you talking about?" But one of the things I said, I stitched his TikTok. I was like, "So y'all not okay with us? You okay with us rapping and for you, dancing for you, entertaining y'all? But the minute we talk about our life and our plight and our struggle." I've heard this years ago. They want our rhythm, they don't want our blues. Yeah, and that's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of. That's why I have to realize a lot, because even for myself, I guess in my blackness, I've had to I've had to remind people like, oh, by the way, I'm black, in case you forgot.
Yeah.
And that became problematic for people. Or better yet, that wasn't something. It was cool for me to be, or better yet, I think KB said it. It was cool for me to be the Christian rapper, but when I started being more Christian than rapper, that's when they had an issue with it, I would say, for sure.
Yeah.
So you said that, like I said, I told you before we got started, I don't, write down any of this stuff. I kind of just freestyle most of this.
Yeah. I love it. This is better. I like the conversation type.
Something's just very impersonal about reading off of a list and just making sure my PowerPoint slides is up.
Yeah.
I don't really like all that. I like to just genuinely have a conversation. But you said that when you breaking down like that song, you said this was like fresh after George Floyd. And I don't think I actually know this off the top of my head. You said you're in Omaha,
Nebraska. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's first off, brother, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, I usually get a few different responses, so we'll see.
Yeah. I just recently got acquainted with one of these lovely women from TikTok. She lives in Oklahoma. I'm like, that ain't nothing to brag about.
Yeah.
Y'all got college sports. Y'all had the OKC Thunder. That was about it. But I guess for you with in Nebraska, fresh after George Floyd, what was the atmosphere like? Did you feel like the change in the air as far as what it was like for you?
Yeah, I can give you a little bit of the climate of Omaha. So Omaha has some of the most millionaires per capita in America. But it also, in the same city, is one of the worst places. It has the highest Black homicide victimization rate per capita in America as well. So you can imagine the disparity between white and Black people in Omaha. I work in the juvenile justice. I'm a tracker. So like I'm basically, my job is to keep kids out of jail. And so like the kids who are completely skipping these alternatives to detention and going straight to lockup are 80% Black.
Yeah.
And we make up like 14% of Omaha, you know what I mean? But we see what happens here. And so our city's very, very, like very racist. At the same time as the George Floyd, the next day there's a young man named James Scurlock. And if you watch the Rumble music video, you see me kind of holding up a sign that says "Justice for James Scurlock." He was killed by a white business owner named Jake Gardner. Jake Gardner shot him in the middle of the street. It was caught on camera from multiple different angles, and there were no charges brought against him. Zero, like wasn't detained, nothing. We had to protest and to even get to get this looked at again. So to get the attorney to come and look and see that, hey, listen, like this is, so they came, they investigated, and of course, a couple months later he decided that, like, okay, yes, charges should have been brought up against him, right? But it took all that just for this kid to get justice, right? And so like that was kind of the climate of Omaha, like especially during this time, because there was a lot of churches and even pastors who were publicly saying, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. All lives matter. Bringing up Black on Black crime statistics.
Before
that's a racist. Yes, that is a racist concept. That is
do you know Black on Black crime is a myth, right? I hope you know this.
Okay, that's not crime happens within its community.
Yes.
So like to only talk about black on black crime and not white on white crime and not, Asian on Asian crime and like to only talk about that is racist. It's a racist thing that was created to not only gaslight but to just completely redirect. So no, we on the same page.
Okay, well, just have to check. I mean, I know you were in Nebraska, but I know how deep you was.
No. So I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. So like,
you probably know family of mine then, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. That's okay. That's what's up. That's what's up.
but yeah, bro, it's yeah. So, but that's the kind of the climate of Omaha.
So the thing I've noticed, and I don't know if you felt this in your spirit, but it was like you had to take a side at this point. I would say like within the church or or better yet, I'll separate the two, the church and then like the American church. Which one did you want to be a part of? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After George Floyd, it was like, we need to make a response to this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to talk about this. There's no avoiding this conversation anymore.
Yeah.
And I felt like for you, when you made the song, and I'll ask you, like, what were you feeling when you're making this song? But the song Invisible, I felt like that was like your way of saying, even if like they don't see you, I see you. And because you are a part of that community, it's your way of saying like, we exist. You know what I mean? Like our plight, our existence, our life exists. If you wanted to kind of dig into that for a little bit.
Yeah. I think especially during that time, because we didn't have sports, right? We didn't have movies. We didn't have celebrity. The Kardashians weren't on TV. Like none of these things.
Thank God.
Right. There was nothing to distract our country from this, right? Because like for us, this has been a reality for us our entire life, right? But like white people have been able to like not look at it because there's been so many other distractions, right? There's been so many other things that you could look at to not have to deal with this. What I've seen, so anybody who's not speaking on this, anybody who's not acknowledging this, anybody who is staying away from this, isn't staying away from this out of ignorance. You are intentionally choosing to not say anything.
Oh, brother, listen. Yeah, brother, the Amish heard about it. They already got buttons on their clothes.
There's no getting around this. You know what I mean? Like you can't. Like the only black people didn't stop dying. Now you know what I mean. We just got sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just
yeah. Sorry, one second.
No, you're fine, brother. One thing that it's kind of funny, and I'll kind of bring this up a little bit while you're getting yourself situated, but I felt like that song probably now, as far as the song Invisible, I think that song in a lot of ways, like for me and like whoever I was hitting the streets with, that became like a battle cry to us. And then even just recently, like with what happened last Tuesday in Atlanta to the members of the Asian community, I feel like that song personally powerful.
Yeah.
It's in my playlist. Like I play it religiously. But I think that song was not only like it was a song. I forgot what this quote says, and I've heard this when I was in like middle school. Good art disturbs the comfortable, but comforts the disturbed. That's like what I got out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's powerful, man. And I feel like now more than ever, it's like we can't gloss over anybody. You know what I mean? And even us, because I've noticed, at least even for the radar for us, we're like, oh yeah, I guess the Asian community gets, brutalized and they're marginalized and everything like that. That's definitely something I think we've all had to wake up and be more sensitive to that, at least what's happening to everybody.
Yeah. And so I think so that's kind of where that song came from. It was like, man, like just so you know that like I can see that these people are ignoring us, and
Mm-hmm.
I know what that makes a person feel like, and so like to as my response, with even with that song was saying that, like, kind of like what you were saying, like, yeah, I see you, and
Mm-hmm.
I need you to know that you're not invisible,
Mm-hmm.
as much as this world and as much as the church, American church makes you feel like you're not seen. So yeah.
And then you got my homie. This is one of my I bumped this one religiously.
Yeah.
Lost and Found with my boy Jerry Mana.
Yeah.
What was that for you, man? First off, I
Yeah.
love Jerry. I love Jerry, man. His music, there's always a vibe that you
Yeah.
like. You can't sit still and listen to his music.
Yep.
But what was that for you, man? What was that like, even working with somebody like Jerry Mana, man?
Yeah. That song, it was very interesting, right? Because when I sent him the song originally, I had a completely different beat. It was like a turn up trap joint that I sent to him, and he sent me that chorus back. And
What you mean? Hold on. So you had like a whole different, like, I guess, like, concept in mind? Is
no,
the way you're
well,
getting
yeah,
at?
I had, like, as far as vibe goes, that was a vibe. Like, I had a whole different vibe in mind. Like, I was ready for, like, I was gonna do like a turn up joint, like,
Mm-hmm.
upbeat, trap, like, type joint. That's what I was gonna do. As time kind of went on, I started figuring out my sound a little bit better,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of the mood and the tone of the album, and like the song no longer fit the tone and the vibe of the album. And
Gotcha.
so, but I was like, dog, I'm not gonna waste a Jerry Mana feature. Like, what am, like,
Right. Right.
like, I need to figure this out. So I ended up, like, making a new beat, and which is what you now have is the Lost and Found. And so, I sent it to him, just to get his approval. Like, yo, man, I completely transformed the song. Um, I just wanted to see, like, I wanted to see what you think and everything like that. And yeah, bro, he was like, dog, I love it. Like, this is he fell and he was like, he loved it even more than the original. And so, yeah, we went forward with it. But yeah, that was the process as far as the creation of the song. I just wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
it was a completely different song, than it was before. So
Gotcha. And then the the album title, Vagabond.
yeah,
I I know that word, and it kind of resonates with me a lot. First, I guess what I'm gonna ask is, what does that word vagabond mean to you? And, like, I guess, like, what was going through your mind when you were, like, making that song?
yeah. So vagabond is a person who wanders from place to place without a home or job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a lot of ways, that's how I felt, navigating, life, and in a lot of different areas in life. As a person in America, I felt like that. As a person within CHH, I felt like that. Whatever we want to call that. As a person, as a person within, um, um, as a person who just kind of just didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. Like, even
Mm-hmm.
growing up, we moved around a lot, bro. I was either the new kid or I was like leaving early. Like, it was like, I wasn't living. A lot of times, I wasn't living in a house longer than 8 months. And we would just move from place to place to place. And so,
Military parents, by chance?
no, man, just broke as hell. And
Oh God, my
yeah,
bad. My apologies.
yeah, no, it's good, good. No, it's all right. And my parents split when I was 10.
Okay.
And so then, like, it became a little harder, on the family. So we moved around some more after that. But yeah, bro, it was just, we just moved from place to place. You know, and so, yeah. So yeah, so I think in a way, it just resonated with me in a lot of different ways. And then I think it also works for like Christians, right? Like this world, like they're like we're never going to find acceptance in this world. It's always, you always travel from, you're always going to go from place to place. You do what you got to do, and then you move on. That's kind of how, we've done this, and so yeah.
And we might as well have you break down this new joint, this melancholy joint. That first off, sir, nobody asked you to snap that hard on it. Like, you could have calmed down like a tad bit. I sat there like, I was like, and then like the TikTok that like obviously you got crazy with the video editing app. I was like, my man is on the couch with the machine.
Yeah.
But then rapping in your face. I was like, this right here is crazy, yo.
Yeah.
Talk to me, break that song down for me. What was going through your mind when you was making that?
Yeah, it's about it was more about like just trying to articulate what it's like to make music and not like pop. You know what I mean? And I think for somebody like me, like I've been making music, I recorded my first song 20 years ago.
Okay.
I had put out my first mixtape 15 years ago, maybe a little over 15 years ago. And I had released bodies of work, consistently since then. And so like, if anyone knows about the monotony of how this, how monotonous this thing can get, how tiring and, this thing can get, how repetitive and annoying this thing can get, is me. And so I wanted to talk about, man, just this lull of creating if you're not creating for like the right reasons. And I've been in that season of just creating just to, because I feel like I have to, instead of like creating with like purpose and a plan and like having the right perspective and everything like that. And so that's kind of where this song comes from.
I feel like one thing I did like about it was when I'm gonna botch this name like bad. What's her name again? Tylin?
Yeah.
That is her name. I like how, like, I think it was like the first couple bars she came in, it was like, and you might know this artist Shawan Furlow by chance. Well, not Shawan Furlow, Shawan. He had this track of this oh, that's the homie. So Shawan has this one track on his latest album. I think it's the Jekyll and Hyde album. And like he's sitting there like, I think it's like him writing like this verse, and it's at the perspective of like the devil, pretty much whispering in his ear and speaking all this like negativity into it. I thought that was interesting, because I didn't know that was the direction she was gonna do for like the first couple bars, where she was just like, we're not doing that. I was like, this. I always I've always been intrigued how like artists is I think the difference between like rappers and like really, really good rappers is like, not only can you tell a story, but can you be an author with this beat real quick? And I thought that was I thought that was an interesting perspective, even like that little bit of layering how you guys did that. Because when I when I saw the TikTok, I was like, okay, I need this track. And then I heard her voice and verse, because this is my first time being exposed to her, period, to be honest. And then when I heard that, I was like, yo, she really came in on some, like, first off, she was stepping on my toes the first couple of bars. I was like, first off, stop reading in my journal I give to my therapist. I don't appreciate that. But then she came out with that, we're not doing that. We gonna do it this way.
Killing that voice of doubt.
Oh yeah, it was I thought it was dope, man. It's first off, you need to keep bringing her back. I was sitting there like, I feel like they need like a collab tape personally, but I don't know, man. It was
to say that, but we're working,
Do it. Work. If there's a Patreon I gotta sign up for that make that happen a little faster, let me know. I got you.
No.
Oh man. And so that's what we gotten into music wise. And because I've been following you for about like the last, I would say 2 years, to be honest.
Okay. What was the first song you heard?
I want to say end of 2019, and then I got really entrenched in your music with quarantine because what else was I going to do?
Right.
But so for me personally, and for everybody else, because I've only seen like a couple of like videos. Like I saw the little like sound bite you did with Rapzilla. And then I just recently watched your video you talked about, and we'll talk about that much later. But tell us a little bit about yourself, like upbringing and stuff. Like what made you like what made you catch like the hip hop? How did you catch the hip hop bug? If that makes sense. Like what made you want to get into it? What influenced that? Like tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So like being from Detroit, like my family was really big into like Motown and stuff. And so that's like a lot of like my earliest musical influences were all like Motown artists. So like Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson and, you know, Marvin Gaye and, you know, all of that Otis Redding, stuff like that. And then, but then I started getting introduced to like hip hop. So like Tribe Called Quest, Jay-Z, Nas, Outkast. But like my family was like, my mom was super like religious at that time. So it wasn't like I could, you know, I think the only rap CD that like she was okay with was like Will Smith, like Get Jiggy With It or something like that.
He got us through a couple of times. So I mean, I understand.
And so was it Big Willie Style? That was the album. And so like, and so like we had to like, so I had to like sneak in. So I was sneaking in hip hop. But then my mom, you know, I think like the youth pastor like showed her Christian hip hop. And so she's like, oh, well, you can have this. So I started listening to Christian hip hop maybe around 2000. And around that time there was like Gospel Gangsters. And I like Gospel Gangsters because they said nigga a lot.
Because I okay, so a little backstory on me. I didn't get saved till I was 19. I'm 27 now. So when people tell me stuff like cross movement, Gospel Gangsters and stuff, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I grew up on Jay-Z and Rakim.
No, I hear you.
And Nas. So you said I like them because they said nigga a lot.
Yeah, bro.
So
I
know
it. You know, it was like a nice little blend because I could like, you know, with cross movement was cool. You know, they could rap and everything, but it was like I can't rap cross move. Like I can't rap them like in front of my friends. I can't like show them in front of my friend because they're talking about like exegesis and like, you know, Calvinism and, you know, Ambassador had an album called The Thesis, and it was like this elegant defense of hip hop, of, you know, how God can sanctify his hip hop. It was a great album and everything like that, but it wasn't a good.
Couldn't recite it on the blacktop. Kudos for that.
Yeah, but like, you know, you had Gospel Gangsters and they, you know, they say nigga all the time, and it was just I don't know, it just worked. It just was a good bridge. I you know, so like for me, that was more of what I kind of gravitated to. But that's how I kind of got that's kind of how like I got the bug to like even want to write, because it was like, I was like, you know, I was like kind of breaking down the lyrics and I was breaking down that stuff, and I was like, yo, this is kind of fire. And I tried my hand at writing, and you know, I think I had did it like privately for a little bit. But what happened was when I turned around, I got like 15, I got a brain infection. And so I like almost died. So I had a brain infection. It got to the point where my head was pounding. I couldn't like even put together sentences anymore, bro. Like it was really, really bad. And so then I end up like having seizures, and I passed out, and I wake up. It's like 3 days later. I'm like hooked up to like a hospital bed, and I got like a tube coming out the side of my head, and yeah, it was bad, bro. And so I ended up being in the hospital for most of that semester, for that's my sophomore year, like my first semester. But they would send like a tutor. Once I discharged from the hospital, they would send a tutor to my house. And so like it was crazy, bro. She sent me like this dry erase board, and I would like do like little math equations, and then she would like times tables. I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm doing like times tables. She's like, all right, you passed. So then when I went back to school my second semester, they said, oh, well, you're ahead in all your credits. Bruh, there was no reason I should have been. But because of that, I had 3 different study halls. I'm trying to tie it back. So I had like 3 different study halls. And so and my mom wasn't going to let me get an early out. So I had all this extra time in school to like just do nothing. So I filled that time with writing raps. And so that's when I really started writing, because I'm sophomore, junior, senior year, just like writing and recording. There's a guy in my church who was like, yo, you're like good. And he paid for all my studio time. And so that's like, those were the times where I was really just like trying to put in work. Yeah. But that's kind of like how I got the ball rolling as far as creating music.
Okay. And first off, I didn't, and this isn't me trying to make fun of it at all. I didn't know your brain could get infected. So when you said that, I was like, I just wanted to apologize real quick because it looked like I was like,
no, you're good. No, you're
did
good.
not. I was like, a brain can get infected. Well, good God. And I was just kind of in shock for a second. So I just wanted to, reconcile and clear that up in the air real quick.
I didn't think anything about it.
Hey, cool. Man, I am I'm one of those people where it's just like I consider myself an a-hole, but I don't want to like unintentionally be an a-hole.
Let me give you a reason. Let me give you a reason at least.
Not even like a reason. It's just that I know when I'm doing it. So if I think I'm doing it unintentionally, I'm like, let me clear the air. If I wanted to offend you, I promise. But nah, I just wanted, that's not something I would make light of in anything. And I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah,
okay. Good. Oh man, that's funny. That's not funny. That's not funny about the fact that you had a brain infection, but the fact that I was like, that you're like, oh yeah, I wanted to let you know why I thought this. Not at all. But so I've been, like I said, we've been following each other on Twitter, I think since like last summer. And I've noticed like, I guess like a change in your tone in the sense from like your tweets and stuff. And I've always been like curious what's been going on. And then I did just watch your video, I think it was a couple nights ago, about trauma that you've I guess been dealing with. And I remember you said on Facebook, I think it was either early this year or late last year, you said you started going to therapy. If you feel comfortable talking about that.
Of course. Yeah, definitely.
What made Oh yeah, that was you like. I thought you were about to get right into it, and then you were like, no. But what I guess like what happened? Like what was it that I guess like wanted you to get into therapy? You speak a lot of like church trauma and everything like that. I didn't know if you wanted to like kind of dive into that a little bit today.
Yeah. Bruh. So I realized the amount of church trauma that I went through. And I think in like conversations that I would like have with people, and I would just explain, like, I'm like, oh yeah, man, this happened to me in church. You know what I mean? One time. It was just like me like casually saying it, right? And people would be like, holy, what the hell? Like, what? And I was like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, was it? Like, and like that happened enough times to where I knew I needed to get help because it was showing in different ways. I know um like I had a and still do. I'm this is why I'm in therapy, but like a big distrust of just people in clergy. Especially um
And for and for purposes of people that are not saved, because I have people of
yeah,
all
yeah,
walks of life that watch, break down like clergy
yeah, yeah.
for
So
folks at home.
pastors, um, anybody who serves in any type of religious institution, um, I had a really hard time with trusting. And a lot of that comes from I was by definition part of two cults growing up. One was the church I grew up in. Um, I think from the age of like 12, they pretty much had my life planned out. And, they told me, hey, you're going to be a youth pastor and you're going to be the youth pastor here. And there were certain things that they were teaching biblically that like weren't lined up with scripture at all. And so like whenever I would question or say, hey, this is what I read. This doesn't line up with what you're telling me. Like, stop questioning. You need to just have faith. Why are you doubting God? Stuff like that. So I ended up like having to after I had enough questions not being answered, and enough frustration with that, I ended up leaving, right? I ended up leaving, which was tough because my entire family went there.
Mm-hmm.
And because my entire family went there, you can imagine the stress with that. You know what I mean? And they did a lot to dishonor like the family unit. I felt like, of course, my family could make their own choices, and or they're responsible for their own choices, but there was a lot of just like, I can't believe your son's doing that, and I can't believe your brother left the truth and is now, anything that wasn't with them or doing, like for me, like anything I did that wasn't being a youth pastor at that particular church was a sin. And I was outside of the will of God.
That's like my favorite line every time I hear that.
Yeah. So I ended up leaving and I joined, have you heard of Master's Commission?
Vaguely.
So Master's Commission is like a discipleship program where it's like a 10-month discipleship program. But they have multiple years that you go. And basically what they do is like, it's super immersive, and they train you up in discipleship, and they train you up to in an area of ministry, and then send you out. And now you're a minister, you're discipled, you're trained, you're doing all that. And it's like this thing where like you can't watch like rated R movies, you can't listen to secular music. It's just super like very, very strict. You can't talk to people of the opposite sex. Like it's like a lot of that type of stuff. So I ended up I left where I was, and entered this place. And because I thought the doctrine was different, I thought it would be, this would be a better place to be. Within the first, so I left there. I left my house because like they have dorms and everything like that. I'm kind of also I'm trying to cut off from my family. Like I just don't feel like I can go back there. Like it's just it's this thing of like, hey, if you're living here, you need to come to this church. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not, I guess I'm moving out, So I moved into these dorms. And like within the first like week, Like dude, this story is crazy. So like I hope I'm not losing.
Take
you.
your time. Take your time, brother. Whatever you feel like sharing.
So, yeah, this is crazy. Okay, so like within the first week, there's a kid in the youth group that we're all friends with who dies in a car accident, right? And they pray for days to try to revive this kid, like raise this kid from the dead. And I'm like, dog, what like what have I got myself into, right? And like and so like it just gets it's like, yo, this is crazy. But it was like this thing of like, you know, I'm 19 years old. I have left my family to join this thing. I don't have anywhere else to go. If I leave right now, I am homeless. I don't know what to do. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm gonna try to ride this thing out and see what happens. Of course, you know, the kid stays dead. And then we end up getting into we try to get to some type of normalcy after that. But like there's just this hurt and this weirdness that just continues from there. But the biggest thing after that I felt like I was dealing with was a lot of racial things, because I'm the only there's like me and one other person who's black. And
don't you love that?
In this entire church. And like and because you are the two black people in the church, they think they're a diverse church. Like you're like, oh, we're a church who believes in diversity, and they want you to do everything. But like there was one Wednesday where the youth pastor where it's like a Halloween service, and he does blackface. He dresses up like Kimbo Slice and does blackface, like full black skin, shaved his head, like does the whole thing. And I'm just like, yo, what is going on, bro? Like, he does blackface. There's the worship pastor like tries to be like starts to try being like cool with me, and he's like, one time in the office, he's like, yo, what's up, my nigga? You know, and so
yeah,
it's stuff's it's crazy, bro. And I'm like, and he's like, so like the worship, so the youth pastor, the worship pastor, the senior pastor. So the senior pastor is a father, the worship pastor is his son, and the youth pastor is his son. So it's like this whole family. So I can't jump you, I can't fight you in the I can't fight you in the office. Like, like your whole family is here. You know, it's like put me in this weird situation, right? There was this was 2008. Obama had just been elected president.
Oh man.
And that Sunday after he was elected, I caught someone cracking a joke about him getting assassinated. And people were calling him the Antichrist and all this stuff. Like it was crazy. And I wasn't even like I wasn't like a Obama guy, but it was still like, y'all, what is wrong with y'all? Like any other person, you wouldn't have done this. Like literally any other president, you would not be joking around and laughing and cracking jokes about it. Like this is like about like it was crazy, bro. There was times where like the pastor one Sunday told me, stop being so black. There was just a lot of racial trauma that went on there, right? And they kind of held this thing of, hey, you will be homeless. You don't have anywhere or anyone to go to. So you kind of, this is what you're stuck with. And so like, and so, yeah. And so like, I think for me, while all this is happening, there is still like, there's still things like love bombing. And I don't know if you're familiar with like, people who have been in like cult type situations, but like love bombing is a thing of like, anytime where, a person is facing big traumatic situations, a lot of times why they stay is because of these love bombing situations where like they're telling you how much they care about you and they tell you, you know, how much they believe in you, and they may even give you opportunities and things like that. And so like, and those were things that were happening. And so like, and so those are things that were like keeping me there. And it's like you don't realize what you went through until you get out of it. And what kind of got out of what helped me was their whole situation kind of disbanding and falling apart. And then once that happened, I was able to see like, like what I had been through and what I had seen and what I had lived through. This isn't normal. This isn't okay. And so I had found when I hadn't gone to church for a while. I met my wife. I started going back. And as I'm going back, I kind of have this desire and this urge to want to start planting churches. But as I'm meeting like other pastors and I'm meeting other like situations and I'm just like, like whatever I want to start and whatever I want to do, I want to make sure it's nothing like, what I'm seeing and what I've lived through and what the majority of what the American church looks like in America. I don't want anything to do with that. But it also started showing it in ways of like, because when you're planning a church, a lot of other pastors want to talk to you, they want to have conversations with you and everything like that. And so I was trying to plant a church at the same time. We have the situation with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. And around that time, there were a lot of churches who are like kind of virtue signaling, where they're like, hey, black guy, black pastor, we want to bring you on stage and we want to have this type of conversation with you, right? And so we go, I go and I tried it. I tried doing that. And it was this, it was the fact that after the conversations, after we felt like we had the heart to heart, after the times where I felt like I was listened to and heard, by August, everything went away. Like by August, at least where I'm from, it just got back to business as usual. Not only that, there were multiple pastors in our city who actively spoke against Black Lives Matter and not the organization, the sentiment. And so so that became frustrating for me. And I feel like I wanted to still, I still have the stance that I have, but I didn't want it to be out of bitterness, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't want it to be out of unforgiveness. And I didn't want to navigate life being overly distrustful and just angry. And that's where I was. And I was like, I need to process this trauma. I need to process this because I want to communicate this well, but I don't want to communicate this out of bitterness and out of hurt. I want to accurately and to depict this and say this and be able to back it up with facts, be able to back it up with experience, be able to back it up with all of that, but not out of this place of I'm angry and this all needs to die and like, this whole system needs to go and all of you are, the most vile, pieces of trash I've ever seen.
Don't get on your Nick Cannon.
Yeah. Like, I didn't want to be there, even though I still feel like a lot of this isn't right. And I know what I went through, as crazy as it sounds to a lot of people, I also know there's a big population who knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say these things. And so, and I've experienced what I've been through. And so like, this is, I just think like we've gotten so far away from like what God has intended. And I want to communicate that, but I want to communicate that out of a place that's healthy and not out of a place that's just like, yo, I will fight you. So,
I feel that I went through, I'm still kind of in this season myself, which is why I wanted to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
I left my old church of, I'm trying to think, of 7 years I was going to this church. I left them back in like July of last year. Cause like you know, I was looking for something in the pulpit I was not gonna get. You know what I'm saying? Like I was expecting a response to worldly issues, but I knew I wasn't gonna get it. And it came to a point like kind of like as you said, love bombing. Like I realized that I was getting more affirmed and reassured within circles. I was being brought in closer to like the clergy circle in a sense that it made me feel like, well, I can't leave now. I've never been this in deep with people before. You know what I'm saying? But then, you know, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd happened. I'm like, well, since I could rub shoulders with these folk, maybe I could wake them up while I'm this close to them. Like, hey, this ish happening in the world. We kind of need to have a response for this. We have a response for every other you know, sin and matter in the world. You know, one of the first things when I knew that the church was plugged into like what's happening in the world, they actually watched the news, was when Bruce went from Bruce to Caitlyn Jenner. We had everything in their mama. Everybody in their mama had something to say about that. But then when it came to like racism, it was like, we're diverse. We don't believe in racism here. Yeah. I'm like, plantations were diverse. What are you telling me?
Right. Come on, man. Yeah.
And it just and I thought that it was really, and I'm still going through, like, I finally spoke about it publicly, I think about a month or so ago, where I talked about it on my podcast, and it's still available. I'll have to send you the video of it, but it's still a very hard thing for me to deal with, because with like my coalition and stuff, we have to work with like different institutions, like, you know, we have to, you know, get together with like different pastors and stuff. But because of like what I had to deal with, like where I had to deal with bigotry from the pulpit, I was like, oh nah, shorty. Like I don't know if I could deal with that again, but I could definitely relate to that for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So man, I don't know, man. This is it's messed up, bro.
I think a lot of people in a lot of ways they're going through this period, especially like when it comes to like people of color that are disciples of Christ. I think everybody's going through this weird reconstruction of their faith, because they realize that they have to find their Jesus, not their mom and dad's Jesus, not their generational Jesus, like with something that was passed down from generation to generation. I think a lot of people are trying to figure that out for themselves. And I think what I've noticed is a lot of people are leaving the church, but they are very clear when they say, we haven't left God, we left yours. We left your God.
Well, that's been my attitude with CHH. Like the way CHH reacts, especially to these types of issues, is a lot like how the church has operated, right? Where, you know, I get it all the time, like when I'm you know, when I'm talking about, you know, racial issues, or when I'm talking about like, bro, I literally Rapzilla just put out an article about something I said back in July, right?
Yeah, I remember that interview.
No, back in August. Yeah. So I don't know why they put out an article, you know, last week about it, but they put out an article and the headline.
Yeah, like I just dropped a song. I didn't need this negative.
Right. The headline says J.Crum says Christian rap fans ignore social justice issues. That was the headline. I'm like, oh, y'all.
They couldn't have read it by you.
Like,
just dropped the song.
Yeah. Here we go. And it was like, yo, like and I said this, look, I still stand by what I said, but this is a perfect example because the comment section is full of people saying, you know, until black people care about black people, I don't care. Or it's full of people saying like, you know, blacks kill blacks more than any other race, or systemic racism isn't even real. Social justice isn't biblical. Things like full of that type of stuff, right?
That's why your tweet said, I've read the comments. I was like, oh God, which comment?
Right. And then and not only that, right? Because it's Christian hip hop, right? So the creators of this thing are black people. So when I'm speaking on black issues, and I have a bunch of white faces who are saying, hey, don't talk about that, I'm like, this is hip hop. Like, it's like you walking in my house. It's like you walking in my house and saying, hey, I'm making chicken. Hey, don't make that chicken. Get the hell out of my house. What do you do? Don't tell me what I can do. Like, you can't, this is my house. Like, you can't tell me what I can do, you know? But it's like, you know, you try to so when a person's like, yo, I don't want to associate with this anymore, because while yes, this may have started as ours, it has been a long time since this belonged to us. It's been a long time since we've mattered as a people in this genre. It's been a very long time. I remember Christian rap had started, and I'll give a little bit of a history lesson. I don't know how long we can be here, but
brother, look, man, this is my podcast. Okay, we can stay however long I want to stay.
Yeah. So especially when Crossword first started, there was a big black audience, you know, that embraced this. It was a part of this, appreciated it, supported it, and everything like that. Gospel on the gospel side, on the like there was a lot of that happening. As more reformed thought started entering Christian rap, which I don't think is a bad thing, but as more of that entered the music and the topics, what happened was a lot of the more influential people of that movement, like you had like the John MacArthur's, and you had the James Whites, and those people are now like, yo, yeah, we love this. And you having these hip hop artists who are now entering these super reform churches because of the content. You know, it's so theologically rich. They love them even more than like hymns, because it's just a straight theology that they're getting. But then the influences change, and now you got these people who don't even appreciate or understand hip hop, who are throwing money at it and making decisions and putting together conferences and inviting these people. And so what happens is
you get those guaranteed sales within the first week and everything like that, all that.
And you begin, but with those influencers comes the audience. And so now you have this audience who is now coming. And so now you're getting them say, you know, they're loving the content, they're loving all of that, right? I noticed the switch, right, when Trayvon Martin was killed. And people started speaking and saying, hey, this is not okay. And when that happened, all of a sudden they realized we were black.
I think do you follow KB and Southside Rabbi at all? His podcast. Yeah. So the illustration he gave, I don't have any books with me, but it was amazing, and I'll have to plug it in after this. But they said, like, you know, we thought we all, basically what you're getting at is that we thought that we all agreed on the same thing, but that's just because certain conversations weren't happening. Right. We were putting things in the pile, like, you know, discipleship. I'm just giving examples. I can't remember word for word. Discipleship, stewardship, accountability, social justice. They were like, don't put that.
Hold on. Yeah.
They're like, no.
Yeah. But the switch happened then, right? And so then we began seeing this disconnect, right? We began seeing this thing of like, yo, no, Trayvon Martin, like not just him, but like people like this situation, try to find every single reason why this was okay, right? Like he smoked weed one time, and he had Jolly Ranchers in an iced tea. He probably was making lean. Like these are real things that were like being said, and like you just need to let the justice system play out. And like these things were like, man, just preach the gospel. You don't need to the gospel is sufficient to these issues. You don't need to put anything else. This is a tainted gospel that you're preaching, and all this, right? The whole social gospel term was then coined, but it was coined by James MacArthur. It was coined by James White. Now, these people were influential. Like you look at Lecrae's line. Lecrae had a whole line. I got a backpack full of tracks plus a keep of Johnny Mac so we could pound it out. That was like a huge, like big line that he put out during his song called "Don't Want to Waste My Life." Right? Like Johnny Mac was John MacArthur. That's who he was referring to. He had a whole other thing. Man, everything changed one night when a man named James White saved my life. Like these are people. But if you look at these people's Twitter's accounts, they are actively attacking the Black community. James White saying Black women are loose, and that's why they get more abortions. Not that Planned Parenthoods have been strategically planted in inner communities, and that Margaret Sanger is a known racist. Like there was that wanted to eradicate and believed in eugenics and eradicate the Black population. Like these are facts, right? But like you say that you had John MacArthur, who just has countlessly spoken against the Black community. So you have these things, or these people who have influenced CHH in such a big level, and we've kind of given it away from. So when me now saying, hey y'all, I love Jesus. He has a huge influence on my life. He has a huge influence on my content. He has a huge influence. Like that's never going away. But I don't want to rock with y'all anymore. I don't have to continue to stay here in this abusive situation where all you got to do is put a comment with a headline like this, and I get destroyed online. For what? You know what I mean? And so, like, why continue to be a part of an establishment like that when I can please God outside of it? This isn't I'm not leaving Christianity. Like, I don't want to be a part of y'all. I don't want to be a part of this thing. You know what I mean? Like, whatever this is, like, it's not the church. Whatever this is, it's not Christianity. Whatever this is, like, does not there's enough. While there are good, there's enough abuse, and there's enough things that are sinful, and there's enough things that aren't loving. That's like, yo, I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
Yeah, because then what ends up happening is you end up going somewhere thinking you're going to get patched up, thinking that it's sanctuary, but it ends up your sanctuary turns into an asylum, essentially.
Right.
And that's not good. And then I've noticed that, at least in this space, and I've noticed this, and like I said, in my own Blackness as a Christian, I've noticed that their way of comfort and culture is sometimes designed to pacify and spiritually gaslight us in this space. And they don't know it as gaslighting because it's their norm. You know what I'm saying? And even like they could have the purest of hearts, and I believe that they have the purest of hearts, but this ideology is so indoctrinated that they don't even know it when they're doing it.
Right.
Like when they say,
because it shows up in different areas. It's not just in like we're just applying it to race right now, right? But we've been like, the church has been spiritually bypassing trauma since its inception. Like it's been It's been like that, you know. The American church has been spiritually bypassing trauma. Man, like depression. Depression isn't a chemical imbalance. You address depression like it's a spirit, and you try to cast it out. You try to pray it away. You know, like therapy. Which like you just need to go in the corner, go to your prayer closet, or throw on some Bethel and pray it out. Like that's how you handle your.
You need the Gandalf. Don't play, yo. You need the Gandalf staff. That's what they doing around here.
Man. But yeah, so that's been a thing, right? That's been a thing, and so like they apply that to everything. So we see that with this, where it's like, you know, race issues. You just need to preach the gospel. Why are you guys always talking about this? I'm tired of hearing about this. We just like, bruh, they don't even realize it because they do it in their own lives. They gaslight themselves. Like, no, y'all need therapy too. Y'all get traumatized too. And like, yes, I believe that that Jesus is the source, and I believe Jesus is a healer, and I believe all of those things. But if I have a cough, you aren't going to shame me for taking cough medicine, right? So if you have some issues that need to be addressed, right? If you have something that like a chemical imbalance, a real trauma, real things that have happened to you, mental health and therapy and addressing these types of things are the only things within the church that is frowned upon and viewed as you aren't moving and behaving in faith.
You got my little sister acting up, but I got my sister in North Carolina. She's a huge supporter of the channel. Yeah. She gets in auntie mode and she starts slapping the screen. But I think that is crazy though, because it
is the devil.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they be bugging. Now I know my man Molly semi personally. I know
that's my man. He lives in Omaha.
Okay, bet. I actually met Molly through like Ruslan's channel. I'm part of Ruslan's like Patreon community. Yeah, Molly's a good dude, man.
Yeah, we used to work together actually.
That's what's up. Yeah. But I think that's, and maybe in this, and I think the reason why we get so passionate about this, because you and me, being from the Black community, like mental health and mental illness is already stigmatized. You know what I'm saying? So then when you get saved and you join a community, become a part of an institution where you're like, I would love to be relieved of this. Everything in my head, everything in my heart, I would love to be relieved from this. And then when it's frowned upon in the freaking church, you're like, hey,
it's like this double.
Hey, like, can a nigga get some help? My goodness.
Yeah. No, it's frowned upon. Man, bro, because I get it from all angles now. Because it's like, when people find out I'm in therapy, you know, either I'll get like the, oh man, that's great, awesome, you know, or from the church, like, what I need therapy for, like, I need to, you know, you need to trust God. I've gotten that response. And then on the Black side, man, you saw like what I look like doing that, and or when the conversation of medication comes up, bro. Now, I think for like good reason, I think Black people are distrustful of medication, you know, but man, when that whole conversation, like all those things, you just get it from all angles. It's like no way to win in a lot of different, for us, it's tough. And then us being men, oh, bro. So you're a man, you're Black, you're in the church. Like it's, he said, cry for help. They got 5 people praying in tongues over you. 100%, bro.
Yes,
100%. Yeah. It's crazy. Bro. Yeah.
I think that's more of an indictment on how we actually do discipleship. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think we've been really good at I don't know how to describe it. We've been really good at diagnosing issues, but not prescribing something that is actually going to fix it.
Yeah.
Because it's no different than like when somebody walks into a church, they're like, oh man, he's got sin in his life. He's going to hell on a scholarship. It's like, you done told me everything that's wrong with this boy, but you ain't told me what you gonna do to correct it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think we've done, I'm trying to remember what scripture it is, but I think it says like a fruitless man only notices trash in people that God notices treasure in. And I think that's a huge issue, especially when it comes to like when you're in like the church walls, because you're like, what the hell did you expect? Like, this is a hospital. Sick people come here. Like right. Do what you need to do. Like, and I always tell people, and same thing with me as an activist, I always tell people, I'm trying to work myself out of a job. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, if the church was really doing or being the needle pushers in today's culture, we wouldn't have much to gripe about. It's like, oh man, look at all this sin. Well, roll your sleeve up and get to damn work. Like, I mean, that what else are we gonna do? Like, I don't know, man. I think that's where we've stepped away from, is we've loved claiming our authority, but yet to step into it. And I think that's a huge problem. For sure.
Wow.
Yeah, like that. Wow. That's just me. Like I've and that I'm actually really happy I have you on here. I've noticed for me, I've become more consecrated in my faith without as much shoulder to shoulder, pew to pew influence with people. And that's because I'm doing church outside of the walls. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing it, like, I have an online community group. I talk to them daily. As far as discipleship goes, it's the closest thing I've ever had to intimacy and fellowship than I've ever had in my 8 years as a Christian. And that's
that's dope.
Like that it's refreshing, because I'm like, God, you really have long arms. Because you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people think, well, you can't be in fellowship and community through a computer screen. You're telling me God can't reach me through a computer screen?
What do you mean? Yeah, well, that's for people to try to get back into church. Like, they use that as an excuse to this is why we meet and don't wear masks.
Oh, don't get me started. And I'd love to get, I was more so tuned into like me and my community group, for instance. Some of them are in the comment section, but I was curious because I was okay the day it was happening, but the day afterwards I was shook. June 6th, what happened at the Capitol? How did that affect you, brother? You know what I'm saying? Like, talk to me a little bit about what happened. Like, what's going through your mind as this is happening on that day?
January?
That's it, June 6th? I mean, January. My bad, brother. January 6th.
A long time ago. I don't know what happened.
June ain't even here yet. Like, my bad. It's been a long day.
Yeah, bro. That was crazy. That was crazy. And it was, it just felt like a summation of everything, right? It was just the thing of, we got to see how, again, how ugly our country has gone
or have been, like,
or has been, right? I guess it never got good, right? But like, but yeah, it's like, like, you can't, it's like right there in your face, right? And it was something where, like, even like, it was from both sides. It was like no one could justify what happened here, right? Or there are some people that tried, but yeah, bro, it was just disgusting, bro, to just see the hatred people had. It was to see bruh, they would have blasted us to the moon.
Oh, son, let me tell you something. I was in DC after George Floyd. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen that much white people on guard in my life. I was like, what are y'all guarded? Like, did Jesus come back? Like,
they walked these people to the gate, to the door, bro. They walked them, the cops walked them to the like, I don't know, man. I just yeah, bro. It was terrible. It was terrible.
I think for me, it was one of those. I'm not going to be surprised if pastors are silent now. You know what I'm saying? Y'all been silent. Don't
and
get
they were. They were. Like, that was one of the things I was like, I even looked for like the pastors that like, there's one particular pastor in my city who I was looking for his response. Because like he's been so outspoken. So he's just been such an outspoken Trump supporter. Yeah, bro. It was like people were just silent. People had nothing to say. Churches all over were completely silent. And I think for a lot of it was like they because they touted this man, right? And there's too much pride and too much arrogance to say, yeah, we was wrong about this nigga.
I keep relating. It's terrible. Actually, no, it's not. Yeah. I keep relating it to okay, so I'm a Knicks fan, right?
Okay.
I loved Nate Robinson.
Sorry,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was pumping, I was gassing this dude up for weeks before this fight. Yeah. This nigga got knocked out. I was like, oh my God. That's what happened to our public witness, right? We got Nate Robinson and the world that saw it. And I was just like, white people, what y'all gotta say? Like, what y'all gotta say for this? And it was just like, everybody was just like, this is ugly. Like,
Trump was like, Trump called them very good people, and he said you all are very special. Like, you're very special people. What are you like? They stormed the Congress. Like, what is going on? What are you talking about? Like, bruh, I don't. But yeah, man, I
don't know if you ever seen this. It's like when we actually know this as being the melanated of this country, but you ever see like a white kid act up in front of his parents in public?
Yeah,
and you so disciplined. You're like, man, I'm gonna get beat just for witnessing this. You know what I'm saying?
I can't. I don't even want to be around here. Like, I got to go.
And then like you be hearing the mom, oh well, you know, he's just having a bad day, or he's hypoglycemic. So it's like he done kicked you in your femur bone, stole your purse, talk about give me back your phone, and you like, oh, he's just a good boy. You know what I'm saying? It's just
bruh. Yeah, bro. But yeah, that was a dark day, bro. That was a dark day. And I think I had spoke about it, and I had gotten a lot of like that. I think that was the thing when I had spoke about that, and I was like, yo, like, even the response of the country, like how long it took. And I think the day before they were fighting the police. There was no news coverage of it. Like all of that. There's just a lot of, so I ended up speaking about it, and like I just got a lot of people just like, why are you causing division? I'm like, I'm not you're talking to me about causing division. This nigga's climbing the wall. Like they are literally beating the police over the head with like flags, and I'm causing division because I said this is some bull. I won't say it, but this is some like because I said like this is crap. Like this is look at our country. You know, I'm causing division. Like it's whatever, man. Like
I think what it is, and what I think a lot of people, they didn't want to realize it or not. Everybody that championed for this dude and everybody that has made excuses for everybody storming the Capitol, I think they all realized that they had a little bit of Judas in them. You know what I'm saying? Because Judas wanted, Jesus to overthrow Rome. So he was like, oh, if we speed up his arrest, then he'll overthrow Rome. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I think we had to really recognize that, hey, bud, we were never promised Rome, in case you forgot. Historically, getting in bed with Caesar has never worked for us. And, we wanted our guy to win. I'm going to separate. The American church wanted our guy to win. And when it didn't happen, they were like, oh, God is taking his hand off of America. So, well, how do you know his hand was ever on it? But like, I think it was just nutty that all this happened. And then like for all of us at home, especially like Black America, like I said, for me, when I first saw it, it was laughable, I guess, because it was just like, I was like, see, I told y'all niggas this was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But then the next day I was shook. And like I ended up talking about it in therapy. I was like, I don't know why I was tormented by this. But then it's funny, a white blue-eyed my therapist, this white woman with blue eyes, had to tell me, well, you got to remember back in the day, historically, this is how they used to do this on full display. They used to run out, wreak havoc on your people, hang you guys by trees. We used to see this stuff historically. Your people has had to see this in the public square. You know what I'm saying? White supremacy running amok and everything. And I didn't realize I was triggered by that. You know what I'm saying? There was a noose out there. People were proclaiming the name of Jesus. There was all this other stuff. It was literally like poking at some scars I didn't know I had. I was like, that. Ugh. And like I said, I've only been saved for about 8 years now. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a conversation. I think it's a conversation where it goes back to the mental health thing, is especially amongst like marginalized communities. But right now, talking about the Black community, like I think everybody kind of needs a therapist, and even when things are good, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that looks like for you. Don't wait until it get bad to like
be like,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's
for
where
sure, man.
That I feel like the days I'm having like a good day when I go to therapy are like, those are the days where it's like I uncover the most trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like it makes me like have a bad day or anything like that, but it's like I'm in a good place to like unpack certain things. But yeah, so but I feel you. Like I think especially us, like marginalized people, like there's a lot of this stuff that we got to kind of unpack, because there's things that are normal for us that aren't supposed to be normal.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So
I think one of the most annoying Bible verses that I brought up in therapy was, we are neither Jew nor Gentile. It's something that like the white man is used to like, well, why are you focusing on race? Because the word says there is no race. But then I'm like, yes, there is, because Jesus had no business talking to this woman at the well, and they specifically identified her by her race. It's just, I think like, especially for us and going in these white spaces, Christian institutions, we need to kind of keep track of this stuff. I mean, granted, don't just have somebody that's going to write you a script and it's like they're not even trying to get to the root of what the issue is. I think us trying to understand that, one, it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to talk about it not being okay. And we have to find refuge and sanctuary in somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's what discipleship is all about, for sure.
Yeah. What do you do about that? like when you talk about like getting to the root, right?
Mm.
What do you feel like that's what it, if you don't mind sharing, like what has that been for you?
For me, I'd known, like, for me, I'd known I was depressed since I was like 6. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds crazy when I tell people that. Like, I would just wake up and know that, though, and people always describe depression to me. It's kind of annoying. They're like, what do you have to be depressed about? Look at all this stuff you have to be happy about. I'm also asthmatic. Look at all this oxygen. What do you mean you can't breathe? You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's trying to understand where the earliest memory for me of like this emotion or this trigger shows up in my life, and then trying to understand what was going on in my life when this emotion first showed up, and then starting there, and then kind of like trying to understand the sequences and events that were going on when this was happening. So that's what happened. That's what it was like for me. Like they always say, and it sounds like it tends to sound like just generic rhetoric when they're like, oh, you got to start at the beginning. It's always in the childhood. It's like, yeah, that's true, because, you know, I mean, it's true, but a lot of people don't understand the gravity of that. You know, how you are as an adult was shaped and developed and refined during like that window of time within your youth. So for me, it's especially like for me, like I focus on like depression. I found out anger is never the primary emotion. You know, that was rooted in depression, anxiety and everything. It was going back to when I could recognize where that first showed up in my life, and then talking about what was going on in that life, in that chapter of my life. And then with my therapist, we're kind of like she kind of guides me through that in a sense. So it's essentially like just telling my story. That's what I've got. That's what I've gotten to. And having to do that with a complete stranger that knows me better than anybody else at this point. But that's what it's been like for me, for sure.
That's dope. Yeah, that's dope.
How about you? Because I know I think a couple months ago, you just got into therapy. What has that been like for you, man?
It's been interesting. I felt like things got worse before they started getting better.
It always does.
Yeah. It was like, so like I first started and I was like unpack all this stuff, and I was just like angry. I was like, ooh, every white person, like it's like especially if like it was like a white pastor. If it was like a white pastor, I was like, yo.
I was taking a hit as you said that. And you literally like it was bad because I was thinking that at the same time. I was like, I know for me, every time something like this happened, that's why I still have yet to see the documentary 13th. I can't watch it. Because I'm gonna be allergic to white people for a week.
It's like one of those things, like I can't. I'm at the point right now, I can't watch like a slave movie. I can't.
Hold on real quick. Hold on. Maddie, I love you, Maddie. Well, this is my producer in my state and my best friend and my brother. He said I'm offended, but he knows what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, yo.
It was like, so it was like this thing, and my therapist was kind of like, he was like, you know, like, he was like concerned. He's like, so is that like, do you want to like fight them, or is it like? I was like, no, man, it's not. I was like, it's more of like there's this general distrust, and I don't want to be like that. Like, I don't want to have that there anymore. And so it's kind of been working through that. It's not necessarily a thing of like, I guess it's not like a thing of like, that's my purpose for going to therapy, is like I don't want to like distrust like white pastors anymore. But it's more of a thing of like having like a having my decisions on who I bring around me, or who I trust, or who I allow to be close. And those decisions not made out of past hurt or trauma, but out of wisdom. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so like, going through therapy, just couldn't get back to the question. It was like, it was like, at first it was just like a thing of, this is be trying to like, when it got worse, it was more of like everything. I feel like I was feeling everything at the same time. It was like I was feeling the trauma from my parents, and the trauma from when I joined Master's Commission, and the trauma from over the summer of, not only seeing people like me being killed, but also at the same time seeing people like me being killed, having people who are not like me saying it's not a big deal. Like, so like dealing with all of that all at the same time. And so like, my wife was like, yo, like, you okay? I wasn't very fun to be around at first. But
I'm
as like,
still not.
yeah.
I'm still not.
Yeah, I understand. So I ended up like, so we just started like attacking things a bit at a time, right? And so I think the first thing that we kind of addressed was a lot of, and we're still addressing it, but the first thing was the racial trauma. And so we've dedicated a lot of sessions to like that, and namely the racial trauma I experienced in church, because that's like, it shouldn't have been, but that's the place I experienced it the most. I mean, when your youth pastor goes on stage blackface, I mean, that's heavy. That's heavy. You know what I mean?
Not a sexy moment in time at all.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. That's, he preached the whole message like that. Yeah, like a whole message.
How do you reconcile that? Like,
I don't know, man. So we had a conversation. We had a heart to heart a year and a half ago with him, because I hadn't seen him for years prior to that. And I tried to have a conversation with him before that, just saying like, yo, like there's a lot of stuff that happened, you know what I mean? And like, and his whole thing was kind of like, I did the best I could, and and that was kind of the thing. I was like, oh well, F you, dude. Like, like whatever. And after George Floyd and everything, of course, everybody wants to have that conversation. And so we had that conversation, and he ended up apologizing for a lot of it. And his whole thing was just like, he just didn't know. Like, he didn't know that was an offensive thing. And I don't necessarily buy that. I don't think you can get away with that in 2008. I mean, I remember 2008. That was a thing people were called out for. So I don't.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things where it's like, you didn't care enough to ask, right? You didn't care enough about the people in the building. You didn't care enough about who is this going to hurt and offend, And so, yeah. But that was his justification. It was just like, I just didn't know, and that wasn't enough for me. So, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, go ahead.
I think that's, I said something. I have these moments, and I call them no Vaseline moments, going back to NWA. I have these no Vaseline moments where I'm ghetto in my faith. I say that publicly. Everybody knows me by now. Like, I'll give you that gospel, but I'll pimp slap you in the name of Jesus with these words. And I said something on my Twitter the other day, and I had to block like 3 people. Oh well. If they left us, they were never amongst us. But I said something. I said white Christians have a obligation to rebuke and denounce racism in this country, because it was a religious cultural thing to lynch people that look like us. You would show up in your Sunday's best. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a cultural norm. And I always tell people to think that ideology is not around to this day, at least that mindset. I mean, like, that was happening in like the 40s and the 60s.
Yeah.
People's grandparents are probably still around from that time. And then that was taught coming down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Even
That's
if
the
it
only
wasn't
time that
explicit, yeah.
well,
Even if
yeah,
it wasn't
that
explicitly taught, like the after effects and the leftover feelings are still like the principles and everything are still there. That's like saying like, okay, yeah, redlining isn't in effect anymore, but in your inner communities, it's still majority black. Like you still you still have minorities who all live in one area, typically Section 8 or something like that, because they could not get loans in areas, and that's how you kept cities separate. Omaha is the most segregated city I've ever lived in. You got all the white people who live in West Omaha, all the black people live in North Omaha, all the Hispanic people live in South Omaha. And because of redlining, that's how you kept that going. And like now you can say, hey, redlining is gone, but guess what? All the black people still live in North Omaha, all the white people still live in West Omaha, and all the Hispanic people live in South Omaha. It's those effects are still there. Yes, the law may have changed. Yes, the thoughts and opinions may have changed. Jamal knows he lives here. Or maybe not, maybe the thoughts aren't like actively like I'm anti-black and I'm anti this, but the after effects are still there. And that's the same as, in the church and in the American church, those things are still there. Like there's still black, there's still white people who think they can come into a black cultural thing and completely shift it, change it, colonize it, make it their own, and tell you what to do with it.
I think that's crazy. And I have a bar on my upcoming album. It's something along the lines of like, how do you like rap but get disgusted by pro-blackness? You know what I'm saying? This is us.
Yeah.
Like this space, this lane, from the bass to the snare is us. You know what I'm saying? From the Harlem Renaissance to now is us.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think it's crazy how it's like it's almost as if like even in this space we don't want to hear that.
Right.
And I think that I've always found that to be nutty, and it goes back to like spiritual gaslighting and abuse, because you're trying to invalidate my experience to fit your comfortability and your bias. Like, who is that doing for anything? As if that this way of a Christianity, and that always seems like a dirty word for me. Like, I rather go by disciple of Christ nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of us subscribing to the cross was to contradict our old way of thinking. Who are you to tell me that what I feel and what I've experienced is wrong? It's just crazy.
Right. Well, even bro. Even when you look at like church culture, right? The American church culture. Even when we talk about diversity, because when I really began to get my eyes opened on a lot of this when I was starting to try to plant a church, right? And I was part of this church planting residency, and I would go to there's this big like church planting conference called Exponential, and so it was like church planners from all over the world were coming to this thing, and what I was seeing was whenever a church claimed like we care about diversity and we cared about bringing people in that look different and everything like that, really all what they meant by diversity, it wasn't like we just want different skin colors. Like, we just want the skin color. We don't care about the stuff that comes with it. We don't care about the culture.
Ooh.
We don't care about the perspective. We don't care about the live experience. Like, so then when you see it, it literally looks like this. There's a white senior pastor, and then the black person comes along, is like a worship leader, and they get up there and they just sing CCM. They literally do everything that's part of that culture. They sing the CCM songs. They dress the same way. They don't talk about their lived experience. They're not addressing they're not addressing the like issues or topics or even asking perspective or even like, hey, like, what do you think of, like, none of that. It's literally get up here, look like you look, but do what we do. And
that's called black tokenism without a black agenda.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
So oftentimes what we see in the American church is not diversity at all. What we see is tokenism, where it's like, hey, let's put you out in the forefront so we can prove that we're not racist and that we're looking like heaven, when really, no, like, when you're not embracing the culture, you're not embracing the lived experience, when you're not embracing any of those other things, that's not diversity. And so, like,
you're not addressing a people's brokenness, therefore you are halting the healing, and that's not
exactly. You're bypassing that. You're bypassing all of that, and you just glorify what you think it looks like. You're just glorifying the appearance of things, and so like so when I saw that, I'm like, oh man, like, of course that's affected Christian hip hop. Right? Because like, yeah, you can come to our church and you can rap. Of course, you can rap. You can even preach. Like, you can sing. You can do all of that. But don't you dare come in here and say anything about how our country is racist. Don't say anything about how police are killing Black people. Don't say anything about how the church needs to speak on these things. Like, don't say anything about any of that. Like, you are here to sing, you're here to rap, you're here to preach the Bible, just the Bible, nothing but the Bible. Don't say anything about your lived experience. We don't need to know anything about that. We don't care about anything like that. And how you feel is invalid because I never experienced it. And so because I've never experienced it, it's not real.
Told you, they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues.
Right. And so that's infected our music, our church, all of it, and so like, that's why you got a lot of people, especially now, with the pandemic, being removed from it and being able to kind of see, yo, this is what I've been in for so long after being out of it, saying, hey, I don't know if I want to return to this. Or if I do return to it, I don't want to return to it in the way that it's been, or I would need to find something or be a part of something or even create something that resembles a lot more like the Church of the Bible versus what we've made it.
Right.
And so that's why you see, you're starting to see more online communities happen where it's maybe 4 or 5 different people, but they're sharing life. They're breaking bread. They're talking. They're walking through life together. People coming over to houses, smaller churches popping up everywhere. House churches, full of 4, 5, 6 different people, and like doing things for their community and stuff like that. Like, you're seeing things like this happen, and like, it doesn't look like American church. And most American churches will say that's not a church. But when you look at the Church of the Bible, that's exactly what it was. And so
we couldn't even go. It was not even permitted for us back in the day. Talk about the history of Christianity. It wasn't even permitted for us to meet in the building. So
like,
how could you say that?
Yeah, we have like sound ministries and like people are like, Titantron ministries, like you got all these different things that are like, yo, this like, and this isn't anything. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not like saying there's anything like wrong with that. I'm not trying to say like, but what I am saying is like, that's so far away from what we need the purple lights for when we do this, and we need the blue lights for when we do this, and we need like all this other stuff, smoke machines, and like, man, like all this other stuff, like that's so far away from what this is, what God had even intended, right? And so because of that, right, like what do you say, pre-Constantine, Christianity was illegal and how to be underground except for Rome. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Pastor Roy, finally, I ain't gonna get on you, black man, for showing up late, but he in the comment sections now.
But we see that we've gotten so far away from all that, bro. And like, because we've gotten so far away from that, like when you have people, and because there's not like true, because I believe if true discipleship was happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that was really happening, you would understand my experience because we're doing life together.
Yes.
Because we're doing life together. So now when we're talking about discipleship, this is how I know discipleship hasn't been happening. Because if you're caught off guard, right, that this is what I've been going through, if you're caught off guard that this is what life is like for Black people, that means you have not been in community. That means you haven't been truly discipling, that you haven't really been caring about what's happening to the person's life across the room with you. Like, oh
man, I forgot what analogy I used. Actually I do know, because it's like when you said that like you get invited to churches to speak. Oh, you show up and talk to us about racism. And I'll ask them, when's the last time y'all talked about racism in this church? And I'll ask them that. You know what I'm saying? Don't ask for it. Don't have me, the new chef in town, to come and cook y'all a meal ain't nobody been used to. And if they're not used to it, why is that? You know what I'm saying? I've asked them, if you have made a conscious effort into stewarding a meal in which it could become applicable to their appetite, you know what I'm saying, to their palate, when I come around, there shouldn't be a shock value. You know what I'm saying? Like you telling me this is the first time y'all had some salt on y'all food when I came around, you know what I'm saying? And I made a point because I've gotten asked by like 15 different churches. They've been asking, hey, can we do like a conference? We heard you speak at this this rally, this, that, and the third. I'm like, do y'all talk like this? And if you don't, why you want me to show up? I need y'all to make this a culture before I show up.
Exactly. Or if I show up, I need to know that this is going to be
this man.
Yeah. Or we need to know, I need to know, like for me personally, I need to know that there is going to be an effort, and there's going to be a change, that this isn't just a trivial thing that you're doing. This isn't just a temporary thing that you're doing. This isn't just you trying to be trendy. Like I need to know that this is a actual thing you're doing. So like by the time, when I got fed up, right? When I got to the point where I'm like, yo, like forget all of this. I had gotten to maybe the third church that asked me to, and when I started asking this question, this is the third church that asked me, once I started asking this question, and the question was, what are you willing to do? And what are you willing to change going forward? So before I come and have a conversation, before me and you get to sit on a stage and talk, before I join your live, what are you willing to do to change? Because my thing was this: if you're really talking about, man, I want to be diverse, I want to understand, I want to be an advocate, I want to be all of those things, but like your board is all white, your staff is all white, your congregation is all white, your team is all white, if that's what it is, and you're not willing to like make changes there, I don't know what to like. I don't want to waste my time.
I don't want to be the black face to your white operation. You know what I'm saying?
We see what like, and I love him, and he was in a horrible position, but like we see what happened with Lecrae when he went on stage with who was it? What was that man's name? I completely forgot the man's name.
The pastor in Atlanta.
Yeah. I forgot the other guy's name, but he went there.
The Chick-fil-A dude and
Giglio.
That was his name.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Giglio, and he says, I don't like the term white blessing. I don't like the term white
privilege.
White privilege. I like white blessing, right? and he sat up there and said that, and Lecrae wasn't able to Lecrae was in a bad position because not only did he get up there and say that, but then you have a whole congregation full of white people who are staring at you. So you kind of like, you're the guy in the room, like, dang. So I understand what Lecrae was in a bad situation, but I say all that to say, like, things didn't change. Like, if you saw like what happened from there, like, I think Giglio might have said an apology, but then like no more than a week later, he puts up a post and says, instead of saying like protest racism, he says protest the devil. Right. Once again, bypassing. I like, nigga, you have not learned. You have not, like, there's nothing that's changed. You look at the staff, nothing is, like, everything has been the same. Like, it was the same as like when the Chick-fil-A guy was like, he says to Lecrae, I'm going to shine your shoes, right? Like, that's how I'm going to make this right. I'm going to shine your shoes, and I've given polish and I've given brushes. I sure wish to 150. John Lewis. Yeah. To 150 of my employees, I've given this brush and this shoe polish. And Lecrae says to him, you know what would really help? Some Chick-fil-A stock. And he laughed Lecrae out the room. Ha 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 ha! Let me come. I'm gonna go shine your shoes. He not like you, like you're not listening. Like,
and he's and that's the funny thing about the Chick-fil-A guy is he this is a private owned company. Like, he owns
right.
It. I'm saying, yeah, it's not like he's like sitting on, like, he's sharing the stock with all these people. It's private family owned. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he looked at him, was just like, "Oh, you funny Negro."
Yeah, no way. Yeah, like listen, bro. It's so like, but so seeing that and saying like, yo, like, there's no exactly like publicity stuff or policy change. Like, unless you're willing to change, like, your priorities, unless you're willing to change like your statement, whether you're willing to change your values, and that's showing in your policy, and that's showing in who you look to add to the team, and that's showing in the opinions that you value and that you listen to and that you are bringing to the table. Like, unless like we're seeing that, I don't want no part of it. Like, I don't want any part of it. And so like we're seeing that happen, over and over and over again. And so like, I don't know. I feel like we get it on all angles. We either get like people saying this doesn't exist, and what about black on black crime and all of that, or we're getting people who are doing like publicity stunts, or we're getting people who are virtue signaling, or we're getting people who are who are using these moments to be trendy, and are using these moments to be relevant, and are using these moments, for an internet moment. But rarely do we get people who are like, hey, I'm in the long haul of making sure that racial reconciliation is a real thing. And I think that's why people like you and me have it's been easier to us to kind of just be like
yeah, because essentially it's for us, it's like, because like I said, with us being black men in this country, we grow up in some form of PTSD, and then when you get put in a place where you're supposed to find sanctuary, and you're like, don't feel right here. Yeah. Why do you think I'm going to stay here for long? I came to church to get away from this BS. I didn't want to come here and go deal with the same BS, but with different faces. Y'all got me chopped. And I think that's where we've gotten to. What were you saying?
What do we do about that though? Because like, and I'm genuinely asking, like, okay, what do we do about that? Because is it a thing of like, all right, anybody like that, I just won't associate with you? Or is it a thing of like, try to make it work? Or is it a thing of like, hey, we're just going to build this thing over here and we know what this is supposed to look like. So like, let's do it over here. Like what does that, is there a solution? Is it a thing that's like realistic to feel like, hey, this can get fixed? Or is it something where you just like, all right, we're just going to completely remove ourselves, build over here with people who are about, you know, racial reconciliation and everything, and do it that way?
I think what that is like, you know, God will add on to you what you are looking for, and he will add on people to help you get that accomplished. You know what I'm saying? For me, with I do activism, I got plugged in with these people of the faith, mostly white people though. And what I've come to realize though is that it's going to be harder to because you got to think, just like even for us, you know, this way of thinking where it's like, and even like for you with what you just experienced, like you could have easily just said, oh damn, all the white people, seriously, all y'all, especially the ones that put the blueberries in the potato salad, y'all going to hell on a scholarship. But I think what
I'll never reconcile with people
that not at all. But I think what that is though is we have to, it's not so much be the bigger person, is let's not forget where God stepped into our lives when we weren't easy to be reformed. And when it comes to some of the people that at least have the eagerness and the appetite to find something new, I think it's leaving that grace, that room for grace, so growth can happen. And I think we steward that and we disciple that. And eventually what ends up happening is just like in the faith, you know, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, and we become fruitful and multiply. But I think it's more so look for those people, not to be like, I don't got time and space for you. Just recognize that there are people in your life that you were supposed to sow seeds in, and then there are people in your life you're supposed to water those seeds. Some of those seeds might have been planted years before you even got there. Yeah. You have to recognize with every encounter, am I here to sow a seed or am I here to water? Am I here to plant? Am I here to prune with this person? Am I here to collect fruit with this person? I think it's just recognizing with every encounter in which God has placed with these people in front of you, recognizing what is your purpose in their life and what is their purpose in yours. Not to be on a shallow sense, but that way you don't become frustrated and grow tiresome of these people. Because I know with me, and I think I heard Pastor Roy put it like this, I had to recognize where I do and do not have love for white people, I would say. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like even $1.50 with you. I've had to recognize where I do and don't have love for white people. And then I have to check with myself, God, not so much change them and how they talk to me, change how I feel about them when they talk to me. You know what I'm saying? If I always ask God to do a work in me, I know that the work I do with other people will always be sovereign. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's it. And I think is, you know, to make sure that we never go dark in this world, make sure that we're always staying plugged in and finding those people that are going to sharpen you in that. I think like the book of Acts displays that very beautifully. Making sure you find that people, regardless if they're black, white, brown, whatever they, you know, that they come from, whatever cloth that they come from, is looking for those people that are going to do good, they're going to stand around you and stand with you when everybody else is going to stand against you. Because I always tell people, if you and I always draw out this parallel where it's like, well, we found this woman in the act of adultery. Well, you had to be looking for her to find that. I think if we look for fruitfulness in people, we're going to find it. And I think that's the first step, is the willingness to make the conscious decision to look for fruitfulness in people. Because once you find the fruitfulness, then you can get in the fruit. So I think that's what it is for me, at least. Because I still get frustrated. I had this weekend, and I apologized to them in a big old letter, Times New Roman font, and I italicized it. I apologized to my coalition. I was like, look, I was getting frustrated with y'all because I was like, why am I the loudest one out here? And I'm like, yo, they just been put on this path. Like, you've been black your whole life. They just now getting to understand what the black plight is. And I think we have to recognize where people are in their lives You know what I mean? You can't just give them your curriculum. Your curriculum came with your life. You've been protesting your whole life of what it's like to be Black in America. They're like, oh, we're here to amplify you, but we don't know what that looks like yet. So I think that we just need to learn. We need to just be patient with them. You know what I'm saying? And I say this with my own convictions, because if you talk to anybody in my comment section, I was just pissing and moaning about this for sure. That's what it looks like for me.
No, that's good, bro. That's good. That's helpful. It's really helpful.
Yeah, because I feel like when we put godlike expectations on humans, we're always going to feel like God failed us. And I've had to come to realization with that. It's like, man, I'm expecting these fools. I'm expecting them to just have the gift of gab and just understand. But it's like, I'm picking one out. These are 70-year-old white people.
Yeah,
they're not going to get it right off beat. And I need to just recognize that. And the more I do that, the more I can be like, I could still break something off to them. I just can't expect them to chew on a steak when they only have teeth for crackers right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't mean crackers as in white people. I meant like crackers that they can only handle saltines when there's. You said yes, you did.
Yes, you did. Don't listen to him.
This dude, yo. Oh man. So now after getting through the heavy stuff, I got some quick hitters for you. I only asked this for like some of my artists I've had on screen. Okay. If you could pick one out, Molly's stupid. He over here died in the comment section. If you could pick a bar, she said, you did. No, I didn't. Shut up, yo. Maya, don't make me hop into. I'm gonna hop into all y'all. I can't stand y'all. I did not mean crackers as in white.
It's okay, man.
And you know what? My mama said this, and I'm taking it. My mom, you said cancel. Shut your behind up. Hey, y'all stupid. I just said all this fruitful stuff. That's all y'all heard was crackers. So if you focus on the woman in adultery, you are going to find the woman in adultery. If y'all focus on the ratchet tree, y'all going to find the ratchet tree. I'm going to get back to my interview real quick. If you had to pick, I've asked like a couple of my artist friends, if you had to pick what was your hardest bar ever, what would that be?
Oh, man. I don't know, bro.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Dang. I don't know, bro. I think the one that's been the most impactful, maybe is the you blind with the bifocal, still can't find the dish. It's right here. You want my culture, you don't want my fears. That's probably the one that's like stuck out the most this past year. But man, I don't know. I think my hardest bar is not out yet, but it's in my next song.
At least it has been uttered. Not even got to be out, but like you've come up.
That one's been super impactful. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I got some stuff, but yeah.
Okay, now this is you just being honest with yourself. What was the flattest, the wackest bar you ever like? And this can go back from like the sandbox. You was like 5 years old and you was rapping about Laffy Taffy or something. I don't know.
Man, this is embarrassing. Okay, so I had a song. Like when I was still in high school. Okay. And I used to go by Preach. That used to be my rap name. Like the most Christian rap name of all time.
That's hard though. I think it's hard, but
maybe. But no, I used to go.
I didn't grow up in Christian rap though, so that
and I had a song. I had a line that like spelled out my name. It was like PREACH. Preach life, preach Christ till I see His face. That was the line, and it makes me cringe to even like think about it.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's funny. Oh man,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know
Five, if
why I
you could,
remember that too. That's terrible.
it haunts you.
Holy
It
crap.
clearly haunts
I can't think of my best line, but my worst though, instantly.
That's funny. If you could have 5 people you would have dinner with, dead or alive, who would they be?
5 people I can have dinner with. Um,
And we'll just say, since you're married, your wife is there too. But like, it 5 people you.
cool. I was not thinking about her.
Whew,
like,
y'all,
it's like got me
y'all.
off.
You heard in Christ. That's one. Like that's
sorry,
it.
Goodness.
Hey yo,
I would want to talk to Martin Luther King. I would want to talk to Malcolm X. I would want to talk to Fred Hampton. I would want to talk to Basquiat. I think that would be crazy. And then Jay-Z.
Jay-Z. Nice, nice. Okay. For me, mine would be, yo said I'm snitching. Yo, Molly, you need to chill out. Yo, we're supposed to be preserving black life, not putting it in danger, dog. What you doing? For me, my 5 hasn't changed yet. It would be Maya Angelou, Chadwick Boseman, Nipsey Hussle. Wait a second. Maya Angelou, Chadwick Boseman, Nipsey Hussle, James Baldwin. And this one kind of changes every once in a while. It's mixture between like Jay-Z or Eddie Griffin. Okay. I don't know why.
You gotta have somebody who's gonna make it like a lighthearted. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to change my last one. I want Dave Chappelle instead of Jay-Z.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Baldwin when I was younger. I love Baldwin a lot. I always quote the what is it? To be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a state of rage all the time. That made the most sense to me, and I'm like, oh, that's why. Okay,
yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel all the time. That makes sense.
That's funny. Okay, and these are like kind of shallow. These are kind of shallow ones. Reese's or Snickers.
Ooh, I like them both. I'm on keto right now, so I can't have either. So thanks for throwing temptation out there.
Oh, but, my bad, brother.
I would have to say, I would say Snickers probably. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask you this question, and unless you can make this happen, this cannot be your answer. But who would you like to see next on this podcast by chance? And you got to have a connection with them somehow that you can make this happen.
You should have Travis James for he runs Culture Villains. Yeah.
You have it in with him that you can like.
It's like, yeah, he's like my close friend. He's from Baltimore too.
Oh,
he lives in Baltimore. Yeah.
Bet. Okay. All righty, man. And this
but he runs Culture Villains. He that has a Cam. I don't know if you know Cam, but he was on Once Upon a Time with me. And then Czar Josh. But yeah, Culture Villains are super fire. You should have you should have him. He'll have a lot of cool things to talk about, I think.
All right, that'd be pretty dope. And this one, even though we heard just sound wise, what do you have next for you? Like what's next in store for you as far as creatively or just like in this next season in your life?
Yeah, man. So right now we're trying to get a lot of right now I run Streetlight Sounds, which I know we talked about it. It's a creative agency, and so we've been working with a lot of independent artists, just trying to help their career, man, and really like I'm all about like artists owning their data, artists owning their career, they're owning everything and like really taking control. And so I'm all about like people helping and empower artists doing that. So, so yeah, we're working with a lot of artists right now, but we're always looking for other ways to help. And then other ways to help people. But as far as like music goes, I'm dropping an album this year. The team, we're dropping a summer playlist, which I'm super hype about. Cindy is part of the team, Tom is part of the team, and so Thomas Iannucci, and so like, but yeah, we got this collection of songs that like we're gonna be dropping over the summer. That's like crazy. I have one of my goals is I want to help as many Black women, like Black MCs, as I possibly can, because I feel like especially in CHH, like they're hella slept on. And so yeah, so
Jackie Hill Perry is literally the only one I can name.
Exactly, bro. And she outbars everybody, and like she's still like
she's in my top 5 female or male.
Like,
you understand me? And I'm not talking about CHH. I'm not talking about CHH. I'm talking about just
ever, bro. She's nuts.
Yes.
Yeah, but she's like, even then, I still feel like she's slept on.
Facts.
And so so that's why you saw I just did one with Ty Lynn. The next one I'm getting ready to drop is featuring Lex Divine, and so I got more, but I want to empower Black people, and so yeah, you're gonna be seeing a lot of that. Like even the album I'm working on is like a very like Afrocentric album, and so yeah, AI the Anomaly is crazy. She's fire. I do know Wande, but like I don't know.
I don't know her catalog, dog. I just don't.
I know. Like,
I know she exists. I just don't know her catalog.
Yeah, like I've spoken with her. I've met her, but I don't know her in a way that like I could get her on a song. So
yeah, I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah, AI. AI could definitely. I'd talk to AI. I can make that happen. But
hey, dude.
Yeah, Erica Mason is fire too. She just followed me on TikTok. So yeah,
you gotta get back. You gotta get on TikTok, dog.
Man,
I see you.
Man, they've been So I go semi-viral, right? Semi-viral for me is like 60,000 views. That's like most people are getting like 1 million, right? But I was like, oh, bet, because like before this, I'm only getting like 100 views like per video, and so like I'm like, oh, bet, and then I post again, and it's still like 200. It's like 200 views per video again. So I thought like this was gonna be the new, but yeah, I don't know.
You just gotta stay on it, dog. You just gotta stay on it.
No, of course, yeah. I'm posting 3 times a day, man. I'm Reese is the homie. I did a album cover for her. But yeah, Reese is the homie. Yeah. No, yeah, we definitely gonna get some work in.
All right, man. Well, first off, I'd like to thank you for coming on here, because like it's funny, like as far as like people I interview, this is the first time I'm getting to know them. Like I'm like, okay, I see him in his videos, I hear him in his raps, I have no idea what he's gonna be like, and then also I'm like, I wonder if I'm gonna come off like a douche. I never know how any of I never know how any of these are supposed to go, but this was dope, man. I appreciate you coming on here, man. And
of course, I want to talk more, man. I'm gonna DM you my phone number. We can keep chopping it up and all that.
Oh, hey, bet. Yeah, man. And if you ever need how would I describe it? If you ever need to be discipled, not that I'm need to disciple you, but my community group, man, we do. They're not mandatory, obviously, but we do like almost every night. We do Zoom calls, share emotions, everything like that. We can plug you in, dog. That won't be an issue. Okay. But
yeah,
all right, dog.
Let's go, bro.
All right, man. First off, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. This was an amazing conversation once again. And for those that probably want to update, because I sent a prayer request, had a little bit of an emergency going on earlier. Everything got resolved. Everything was fine. I didn't tell you, dog, but I had like a family emergency, like maybe an hour before this all started, and like,
dang.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's why when I showed up on camera, my hair was dripping. I had to hop in the shower real quick.
Oh yeah. Man,
but everything's okay. My family's whole and they're in one piece, man. But thank you everybody. Once again, I will not be on here tomorrow. I'm gonna be in the streets with the Asian and Pacific Islander community, being a member of the Pacific Islander community. I'm gonna be out there, praying on my brothers and sisters, speaking out for my brothers and sisters, amplifying my brothers and sisters. I will see y'all on Thursday, though, for our third BIPOC episode with members of the Black, Indigenous, People of Color community. We're going to be doing that on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Once again, I would like to thank J.Crum for coming through this evening.
Yeah,
and always remember, y'all are beautiful, blessed, and beloved. Have a good one now.